super good choices there by Lev D, as you just stated. As we go into game number 2 here. Ooh, we're on a big bang. Excited to cast this one.
Another big bang. This is our third one so far. This is, of course, the Galaxy that just happened in the very last patch. You get a Force of Nature at 3-1. You get a reroll every turn, and every minion drops an orb. So on board with Lev D, our winner from game number 1, to see what treasures he receives in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, we will see, starting off with that crit glove. But yeah, Big Bang, as you see on the screen there, is a combination of getting a free reroll, Force of Nature in Stage 3 begins, and loot orbs from every single minion. So it's going to be a lot of action going on. Someone who I did get a chance to speak with before this tournament started was Volteriux, who went 4th place, I believe, last game. But Volteriux was actually excited about playing Big Bang Galaxy, and since he was in Lobby 1 yesterday, who didn't see any Big Bang Galaxies, this is going to be the first time that we see him play this on or during this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Should be really fun. I haven't actually gotten to play this Galaxy yet, but what we know is that just the acceleration, right? You get so many more resources, and it's kind of like juggling those resources. That's going to separate the good players from the great players on this particular one. Just to talk a little bit about our format on the right side of the screen, as you can see, the point system is a little bit different today as well. It's 10 for first, and then it drops down to 8 for second, and then it drops down to 6 for third, and then goes by increments of 1 after that. So the point system definitely favors those who can hit 1 and 2, and that'll help you, if you can do that, that'll definitely help you get to that 18-point threshold a lot faster.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited. Once players hit that 18-point threshold, it's certainly just such a different pacing than yesterday, because players are going to be going for that win, not just playing consistently for the top 4s. Like you need to get that win. It's so important.
Right.
I think that'll change up a lot of players' play styles. Maybe they won't go for certain compositions that they played yesterday, but go for new stuff today. We saw, Zaya BM win last game, and Cybers actually get second. We actually had 3 players playing Cybernetics last game. I believe it was KC Double, Shoemaker, and AlphaGo, actually, and 2 of those players between AlphaGo and Double win 6th and 7th place respectively. So maybe a little bit too much contention there for some of our players.
Yeah, I mean, I think about when you play, when you talk about Volteriux playing Rebels, and you think about the other, the Blade Master player, Lev D playing Blade Masters, that puts a lot of extra strain on the Cybernetics players too, because it makes it a lot harder to find the Aurelia, which is such a crucial unit, Oh, yeah, very much so. I think that's something that players have to keep in mind over the course of the game. As we check in here with Bobe, has a pretty decent start. A couple of tier 2'd frontliners. Slammed a Warmogs, though, so if you see a Warmogs, personally, I'm thinking about Nico and going to want to pivot into those Star Guardians. And there is a Nico on the bench for Bobe already, as well as a Zoe, so we could see that pivot here later. Yeah, he's holding on to a couple Jarvans as well, because you generally don't want to put the Nico in until you can, have that Protector buff going too. So he's definitely thinking Star Guardians. He does like that build too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for it. He did end up going Sorix in game 2 yesterday, so we know he knows how to play it.
Yeah, and he got first that game as well, so definitely some prowess displayed there with that build. It is interesting when we talk about the Star Guardian composition, specifically from the Chinese region playing it, because I think in the Chinese qualifiers there was so many Star Guardian games, but actually out of all the Chinese players yesterday, Chen was the only player to play Star Guardians, only played it during 1 game. We know Xuanzi did play it last game though, so it's pretty. It was good information, I suppose. Still, and he came back from going almost 8th place to getting 3rd. That was super impressive.
Yeah, that was a pretty insane run back to avoid death when you get down to sub 5 HP. But he did it. Bobe really needs to try to avoid death the most he can this game too, because he did get 8th in game number 1, so he really needs like a 1 or a 2 to keep himself in the running to possibly win the whole thing. So he's going up against Lev D here.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but like Bobe, when he got 8th last game, was like very visibly upset, kind of like put his hands in his face, and I was very worried for Bobe in that moment. Like, can you maintain your composure after going 8th in game 1 of the final day? I hope so for Bobe's sake, and it seems right now that he's composed. It's just a matter of if you'll be able to keep that composure.
Right. Because, I mean, everybody takes an 8th once in a while, right? Somebody has to go 8th in the lobby, so you can't beat yourself too much, beat yourself up too much about it, even in the finals, because you still have a chance. I mean, if you look at the OCE NA finals, Obo came back and won that after, you know, really kind of struggling in the first couple games. So it's definitely possible. It's rough, but it's not the end of the world for sure. But, you know, we know from his interview, he's kind of putting the weight of the Korean esports scene on his shoulders, which I don't think he should do. I think that's him being unfair to himself.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of expectation to put on yourself for the very first time you find yourself in a situation like this. But, you know, I appreciate that he feels those stakes, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. It just shows the importance of what this means to players like Bobe, with representing Korea at the World Championship, feeling the weight of your region's expectations on your shoulders. Hopefully, can kind of steer away from that in terms of how that will affect you pressure-wise. But Bobe doing decently here in game number 1, 88 HP currently, as we do switch over to AlphaGo though.
Yep, swapping over to AlphaGo as we enter the carousel here. It looks like AlphaGo has Space Pirate Vanguard going right now, so I wonder if he was able to find the early Jace. Once we take a look at his board, we'll find out, I suppose. And I like this too. We've got the inventory. So without knowing the direction people are going, it's a little bit tough to read that as far as how good it is for each player. But just in terms of general item power, you look at players like Slooper, and there's a lot of good stuff you can make out of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can make Redemption, Frozen Heart, both good items. This is only the uncombined item inventory, so we'll have to see what that will synergize with the completed items that are already made. But it is interesting to see that there are 2 players in Slooper and Volterix that are leaving 3 components unbuilt, and everyone else has, slammed some items. AlphaGo actually has a lot of uncompleted items here, but just now is choosing to make a Last Whisper. But the bow actually has 2 Nico's Help already as well, between the, with all of those loot boxes at the beginning. That's super, super interesting. I know this is kind of reminiscent of, the Galaxy that is no longer in the game, but that the Nico verse, when you start off the game with 2 Nicos, it's sort of like you got a 4th Galaxy here in Big Bang, at least for AlphaGo. What direction will he go with that, though? Do you choose to, wait and use those on a 4 or 5 cost unit, or do you do it more aggressively, maybe when you find that vein or something?
He's playing the bigger bang right now, it seems like. Playing the Nico verse. I always like the Nico verse, but it's nice to shuffle through some other things. We'll see what he decides to go towards. But it feels like right now at the situation, if you think back to Nico verse, in the end, I think a lot of people were trending towards using those on 4 costs. In the current meta, imagining that Nico verse exists right now, what champion level do you think is probably the most appealing to immediately 2-star?
Ooh, that is interesting. I think it is situational, but probably I would say 4 cost units once you hit those. Say like Lev D there with that Irelia will be super appealing to go. Maybe even the Vayne though. I actually want to, reference a caster we'll be seeing later. That's Primal. Casted a game of his once where he double Nico'd a Vayne early and ended up winning that game with like 70 plus HP. So it still is viable to do that. If AlphaGo ends up finding a Vayne, I'd be curious to see the thought process and decision making there of choosing to hold them or use them. But facing up against Casey double 61 here, who has a Rumble and a Victor already, so we could see a mech game for the first time today.
Yeah, mech has been really good. Did win a game yesterday, so wouldn't be surprised to see a couple players pick it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Primal's in our chat right now, and he says, Crone's shouting out my greatest competitive achievement. Oh,
no, he played that
big
super,
brain
super
move,
well.
Primal. We're going in on Terra Bursters now, but yeah, I like that. I mean, I think there's arguments for Nicoing a couple 3 costs here and there too. Here's our completed item inventory. So we got a couple of War Mogs here, Shoemaker with the Giant Slayer IE. That's interesting. Definitely a strong item combo.
A lot of aggressive attack damage items there. See an IE out of Lev D as well. Check out what AlphaGo gets from these Terra Burster rounds. Gets a glove and a sword. So some more AD items. It could be just an IE Slam. Yeah, IE Slam with that Last Whisper. AlphaGo, I believe... Yeah, no. AlphaGo is the player that played 4 games of Cybernetics yesterday and played Cyber's last game as well to get a 7th, but this is looking like a much better start here for him.
Right. Well, one of the things we've always said is the Force of Nature Galaxy Super Dense is good for cybernetics a little bit extra, just because you can put that Force of Nature on one of your units and gain the cybernetics buff, because, you know, an item's an item, right? So where that is part of the Big Bang, makes a lot of sense, you know? He's got a little bit of an awkward situation with the bow, but I guess he's going to take all of this off illusion at some point. As soon as he finds a vein, I think we're going to see that swapped.
Oh, definitely. I believe we will. And also, not only is this super dense, but this is a treasure trove as well. A galaxy that also super favors cybernetics. You're going to be getting enough items to fit every single cybernetic with probably at least one completed item, especially with the Force of Nature being a part of it now.
Yeah, I think this is a really good direction to go, because having the two Nikos also mitigates one of the trickier things in this galaxy, where in a galaxy where a lot of people are going to be tempted to go cybernetics, if you can Nico your Aurelia or your Vayne or something like that first, right, you're just going to get out ahead of everybody, because in set 3, those Nikos will still take those champions out of the pool, I believe.
Yeah, they will now indeed. So, interesting thing to note. I was actually thinking more about the use of Nikos. I talked about the Vayne and the Aurelia, but maybe even Alpha goes in a position to where he's playing so well in the early game that he can, greed and use them on the Echo later on. And that's kind of one of the win conditions with the cybernetic composition, is having an Echo too. And it's just so powerful late stages of the game.
That's a really good point. You could just be greedy and wait until the very end. It's dangerous, but it's possible. We're going to move over to Shoemaker now from Japan. He is another one of our cybernetics players in the lobby. We saw a pretty good start for our other cybernetics player. Now let's see how Shoemaker's doing compared to AlphaGo. He's got the Vayne already, but he only has one Nico, so I guess he can't go a Nico 2 there.
Has a pair of Vaynes though, but is choosing to not use that Nikos yet. I think Sindra will win this one. Yeah, Slooper having that tier 2 Sindra can be better than a tier 1 Vayne. There's 5 cybernetics in for Shoemaker right now, so just needs to find that Aurelia, and then we'll be up to that 6 power spike using that reroll. Hasn't found it quite yet though, but does get that blaster synergy for Lucian, and Lucian being the tier 2 carry right now, it's going to be super, super huge there.
Yeah, I feel like with the hit point level he's at, he doesn't need to roll anymore here. He can kind of just chill and imagine that this board it might not get you on a big win streak, but it's certainly going to keep you semi-safe, as you save up a bit more.
Yeah. Definitely. 83 HP, very comfortable to be at right now. Levd, another cyber player. So a lot of people going towards cybers this game. We had 3 last game, and we have at least 3 right now. We talked about earlier, these galaxies do pair well for cybernetics.
Yep, and cybernetics can definitely support a few players, but if it gets to be like the 3-4 range, that's when it starts to be a little bit tricky, especially when it comes to those Aurelias and those Echoes, right?
Oh, especially Echoes being one of the main things there. Whoever finds those Echoes first, the other person's going to be a little bit screwed there. Although, with the addition of Vayne in this set, there is 6 cyber potential without the Echo, so not going to be a huge deal there as it would have been in the past.
Oh, he's going right for that Aurelia. Oh, no, AlphaGo. Stole it away from Shoemaker. I was wondering about that.
Could have ran to it a little bit quicker? I'm not sure, but...
Maybe? Because I was surprised that AlphaGo didn't go for that right away. Because, I mean, it's an Aurelia with a chain vest. Like, obviously, normally you're looking at the items, you're not looking at the champion. But if you're playing cybernetics, and you have a sword, and you have a very good chance of finding a sword because it's Big Bang, you could turn that into, like, a GA on Aurelia, which is great. It's not Thieves' Gloves, but it's still a really good item. So, yeah, I'm just surprised it took AlphaGo that long to decide he wanted it.
Yeah, no, definitely. A little bit interesting there. But there were some good rolls here for Shoemaker, finding not only a Vayne 2, but also an Ezreal 2. So a bit more of a power spike there. Shoemaker is on a 2-loss streak, but hopefully turn that around before we enter the Infiltrator PvE round.
It's so rough, though, being on 5 cybernetics, All he needs is one more. I guess which one is he missing? He's missing
Aurelia.
Well, Echo, obviously, but also the Aurelia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was actually really big that AlphaGo snagged that, wasn't it?
Oh, totally. And actually, Shoemaker is only on 24 gold right now on 3-5. I know with the trade sector component of this galaxy, you're going to be buying a lot more units. Your econ's going to be hurt a little bit more, but this is still pretty low. Like we sometimes see players be level 7 here with like 30 gold, but Shoemaker is probably 30 gold ish away from that.
Yeah. Well, we will leave him there as we'll see if he finds the Aurelia later on. Let's swap over to Zhuangzi now, see what he's leaning towards. I believe I saw some Rebels in that last round when he was playing.
Yeah.
Scouting, but yep, there it is.
This looks like just holding for Mech here. The Victor is on the bench. The Nocturne is holding the Morellos. Has that Annie 2 in, has the Rumble on the bench. So as soon as that Fizz is found, I believe Chauncey will make that transition at that point.
Yeah, you would think so. Seems like just kind of a Rebels sort of like a transition, basically. And it's done okay for him.
Good.
71 HP. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Oh, not bad. I think playing the strongest board, which Chauncey is doing pretty well right now. I think he did it very well, at least in the first 3 games yesterday, not so much in the last 2. But playing strongest board to get you to this point is important. The HP is really close, actually, in this lobby between 1st and 7th place. AlphaGo being a little bit on the lower end there at 51, but only a 14 HP differential between the majority of our players.
Yeah, nobody's really running away with it right now. Bobe on the win streak, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And even he had lost a good amount of HP. So checking in on the uncompleted items, Zhuangzi, hey, he has a spatula, and that might be helpful later on for, you know, like an extra infiltrator or something like that, possibly.
Yeah, maybe even extra force of nature, you know. It's higher chance to get spatulas on the treasure trove portion of Big Bang. We'll see. You know, there is no longer the demolitionist spat.
I was gonna say,
so, yeah, can't do one of those. But someone who I did want to take a look at in the future.
Anymore.
Yeah, no, that was so impressive. You know, thank you, Riot, for removing that. So, but I did want to take a look at Bobe later on. No, definitely not. So Bobe actually was re-rolling for a bunch of 1-cost units. I believe he had Caitlyn and Twisted Fate at least at tier 3, and maybe one other as well. Checking in still with or sticking with Chauncey for the moment, though. Oh, actually facing Bobe, this is perfect. Yeah, tier 3 Caitlyn and TF with the re-rolls. This is not something that you see very frequently at all.
Yeah, and he's got 40 gold, so his economy wasn't like totally shot by this or anything either. So this wasn't hyper rolled. This was hit fairly naturally, slow rolled like you would normally see, and that is a lot of strength early on. And I actually really like this from Bobe. It's unorthodox. We're gonna swap to his view to watch him play this out for a little while, because this is Bobe basically saying, you know what? I know cybernetics are good in this galaxy. I am rejecting that completely. I am focusing towards the re-rolling side of things. And, you know, we'll see what he's able to achieve with this. Looks like he's trying to pick up some more protectors. You could, you know, start leveling quicker soon. And, you know, maybe just try to hit a quicker 8, possibly. This is an interesting opening. I really don't know how you'd want to play out of this. What do you think?
I think that what Bobe is doing right now is just looking for that Jarvan 3 and then going to push levels. Doesn't want to push levels and be stuck with that Jarvan 2 forever, as Jarvan 3 is a huge power spike here. So that's probably the thought process. If you're able to find Rakans and Xin Shao's along the way to get that Rakan 3, that's going to be super powerful as well. Isn't going to be winning this round. A lot of the cyber compositions are really strong at this point.
Right. You're getting your Aurelias, you're getting that 6 cybernetic buff online at this point. So yeah, this is where it does get a little bit tricky. And this is where, you want to hit that Jarvan 3, but you can't spend too much time doing it. You can see him just picking out a couple 1-costs from the pool just to kind of thin that out a little bit. There's one, needs one more. Rakan 2 is a nice pickup either way. Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, instantly levels up to 6. I love that there. Puts another Rakan 2. I think Bobe is pretty safe to win streak from here. I will say hesitantly, actually, because I know the cyber competitions are super strong. But you're Bobe. You have 4 tier 3 units right now.
But who's your damage dealer? That's what I'm wondering. You just kind of have to grind these rounds out, I guess Jarvan kind of is that. I really do like that he's prioritizing Bramble Vest, because you've seen a lot of Infinity Edges built in this lobby, so that's going to be better than, say, like the Titan's Resolve that you see maybe a little bit more commonly these days. But yeah, like we were kind of guessing, just kind of grinding that round out.
Yeah, Voltairic's taking a huge hit there, but there's a really good point that you mentioned, like where's damage coming from, because there is no items on any of the damage dealers in Bove's comp. There's just the tanks with the 2 items on Rakan, 3 items on that Jarvan. Of course, Jarvan does do a lot of damage with that Bramble and that Ionic Spark, just, from the item-wise, but hopefully during this carousel and during the Arc Raptors coming up, we'll be able to find some of those damage items. You know, there's a sword on the bench there, so hopefully something for Caitlyn will show up.
Yeah, we'll see. Bobe last to pick because he is cursed with second place right now. Finding the gloves, which is always just like a good item. You can turn that into a lot of really useful stuff. So, you know, so what was left, so you might as well grab it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
You can build
the
IE
HP
out of
is
this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's an IE and goes in the Caitlyn. I was also going to bring up the fact that the HPs still remain pretty similar throughout the throughout this lobby. There's 68 with Slooper, 67 Bobe, 66 Shoemaker, so still kind of neck and neck race here.
Just the big drop off from 6th to 7th, right, where you have Zhuangzi and Voltairix down at the bottom. See Bobe kind of shaking his head a little bit there. He's in that situation where you've leveled up to 8, but you don't really have everything you want to put in there. He's got 4 Celestial, which is good with, you know, the star levels that he's got, but now he's got to make the transition, right? He's got to figure out where to take this comp, and that can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, opting to play 4 Celestial here instead of 4 Protector, I believe, so interesting. Still, I mean, takes that round decisively again, so the strength of this composition cannot be ignored. Hopefully we'll save up enough gold after the Arc Raptors to level up to 8 and put both of those in. Buying the whole shop there to reroll. Doesn't really hit anything great there, though.
Right.
Probably will just econ.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to find some 5 costs, but Aurelian Soul is probably the one of the ones that fits into this comp the least. That said, it's still an Aurelian Soul, so you know, maybe there's a scenario where you throw it in for a little while. At least if you hold it on your bench, other people aren't getting it. You're not hurting your economy because you're above 20 anyway, and you can kind of deny that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's actually room for it, unfortunately, for Bobe, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to be pretty strong regardless. If it's Lev D, one of our Cyber players, Lev D sitting, you know, at 2nd place right under Bobe.
Yeah, but look at all those 1-stars on his side. 1-star Vayne. I think I saw 1-star Aurelia. It's enough, I mean, but that was close. That actually did better than I thought it was going to be. That Vayne, even at 1-star with those items, it's crazy.
It really very much is so. Vayne 1s can just pop out wins from nowhere sometimes, it seems. So
with those items,
bit of a strong unit there. Oh yeah, what was that? Last Whisper IE Giant Slayer, like perfect Vayne items right there.
Yep. Vayne is definitely one of the more item-dependent champions, because like with any one of those 3 items not on that Vayne during that last round, I think Bobe wins that. But the fact that all 3 items were on the Vayne and she got so much time was basically untouched. You know, I think that's what caused it to go the other way.
Yeah. Okay, a bit of gold there for Bobe. So Bobe will be able to level up to 8 right now if he wants. Does use the reroll first. Still wants to find those Rakans and Xin Shao's. Swapping over to Zhuangzi though. Okay, Zhuangzi has the mech online at this point.
Right. So Bobe thinking about transitioning, Zhuangzi with the mech, but can he make another low HP comeback? That's the question now. He's rolled down basically to nothing. He's had to go all in just to try to stabilize.
Yeah.
Where do you go from
the
here?
Victor?
Yeah.
Oh,
QSS on the
okay.
mech.
Actually, yeah, okay, that's good.
Yep.
Zhuangzi playing a little bit greedy here. I would actually be tempted to Nico that Victor. You do have the Echo in shop right now, so that could become an Echo 2 next round. You have to live though, and Zhuangzi being on solo HP is a little bit worrying.
Yeah, the mech gets popped, and that Vayne 2 in the back from Lev D. Trotsky doing so much damage. Aurelia 2 got in there as well. And actually, it's going to be tough. Wow, do you think mech was the right call in a lobby with so many cybernetics players and so many things like Giant Slayers and things like that that can just chew through the mech?
Yeah, perhaps not, but it is a comp that Zhuangzi kind of seemed to crutch on yesterday. He played only mech and pirates throughout all of the games. Does actually use the Nico for Echo there, but I wanted to point out another route that Zhuangzi could have gone. I think actually if he had Victor 2 last round, he would have won and not been in danger of dying to 1 loss. 11 HP, you might at this point though, especially versus someone as strong as Bobe.
You know, with the items he has on Victor, I would almost rather have a Victor 2 than an Echo 2.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Bit of a surprising decision there from Zhuangzi.
Okay.
Like
Echo pretty good though, apparently.
Bobe, though. Yeah, I mean, Echo 2 is still going to be really strong with those items. I do think the Victor 2 is probably better overall with the items that he's got access to, but strong either way. Bobe takes another big shot, and Zhuangzi manages to stay alive.
Yep. And just stay alive indeed. Has the Aurelian Soul. You do like to fit an Aurelian Soul sometimes in mech composition, but doesn't really have the room for it here. Oh, Casey
Whoa,
double hit a
Teemo
Teemo 3. Yeah, so at the same time you did. That's exciting. We saw one lose yesterday, though, I believe, right? A Teemo
I was going to say, that's good for second place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that was
Could
a
be a
Teemo
first,
3
though.
and a Mord 3, too, by the way. That game
true.
yesterday. Yep, that was actually Voltairix that played that game, and he had the Teemo 3, had the Mord 3, still couldn't win it. So we'll see. We'll see if Double 61 can succeed where his fellow EU player failed yesterday with the Teemo 3.
Oh man, this is a perfect transition. Thank you, TFT Matchmaking, for now showing Zhuangzi versus Casey Double in that Teemo 3.
Yeah,
and it's just one-shotting everything. 10k
Oh,
damage
he's
from
alive.
Teemo there.
Whew.
Oh man.
All right, so 2
Voltairix
HP.
though, 8th place.
Yeah, Voltairix out in 8th. So Voltairix having an interesting start to the day. That was a 4th and an 8th now. So only 6 points total for him in the first 2 games. So a player that a lot of players were worried about coming into it, struggling. He is, even if he wins the next game, he's still not going to be at that threshold. And when it's taking you more than 3 games to get to the point where you can win, it's a little bit rough. So it's still on Lev D and Shoemaker to possibly get to that win threshold this game. They're the only 2 who can do it. Shoemaker can do it with a first. Lev D can do it with a first or a second. And item inventory overall. Starting to look like a regular game of League of Legends with all those items now.
Yeah, a little bit. Having that, 6-item power spike. But that is very interesting. The last time we did see a format like this, though, it did take 5 games. So with that in mind, Voltairix could still be okay. But
Totally.
if Lev D, plays super well, or Shoemaker plays super well, gets another placement, then we could see it end in less than that for sure.
Want to make note of the 4 Infiltrator build that Zhuangzi has achieved now by creating Infiltrator Ziggs. So he's going to be in your backlines delivering the bombs at close range, I guess. Doesn't seem safe,
Yeah.
but it works.
I don't see, look at Ziggs and see a safe kind of unit there. Ziggs is kind of all about that destruction. He does not care at all.
No. Can this Echo carry? Oh, that was
that
very
was
close.
so close.
Whew, you see Zhuangzi laughing about that one.
The relief on Zhuangzi's face at that point. These are such stressful rounds going into this stage of the game when you are 1 hit potentially, well, definitely if you're Zhuangzi now, 1 hit from being eliminated.
Yeah. Couple players that won away. AlphaGo has a really good chance of being eliminated as well if he loses a round. Look at that, Nico 3 actually. And Nico 3, that is a carry. That is like one of the best carries in the game right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Huge damage, huge CC, because she stuns you for longer the higher star level she is. So that's big.
Yeah,
right,
Zephyr hitting that Echo, though.
Yep. It's going to slow things down a lot. Aurelia getting the back lines onto the Victor now. Victor getting a little bit of healing. Doesn't survive, though. The mech broken so fast, and this is just what the Cybernetics build does. And so this is going to be the end of the road for Zhuangzi, it looks like. That Rumble.
Unless...
Can he stun? No. The Aurelia's got to win this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Shoemaker knocks out Zhuangzi in 7th place, it looks like. So going to jump back on board with Shoemaker to see if he can stay alive. Meanwhile, Bobe, who we looked at earlier, want to point at the right side. He's the one separating himself from the pack right now at 44 HP. So he's been able to stay alive.
Yeah, that Bobe 1 cost unit composition there, really showing that strength. Man, Zhuangzi, it's so unfortunate that Zhuangzi was eliminated last round because that was potentially avoidable. If that Echo didn't get Zephyred, I think that would have gone the other way, and we'd still see Zhuangzi in this game. You
are 100% right on that, I think. Think about what 1 Echo ult would have done to some of the champions on the other side. So yeah, that's one of those rounds where you're like, all right, there was a lot of people left in the lobby. I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that. I could have positioned better. But hindsight's always 20/20. So double Giant Slayer on the Aurelia. Interesting. Is there a world where you would have maybe put the Dragon's Claw on Aurelia instead? Is the survivability better than the second Giant Slayer?
I think not so much. There's not that many, or not that much magic damage that you need to really worry about to go on your carries. Like putting it on a Wukong, I think is fine. This might be the one. This might be the one matchup where you are worried about a little bit of magic damage. You have the TF3 cards coming through. Zoe doesn't do too much damage, but if that bubble does hit, it will do a little bit there.
Wow, look at all of these things. Oh, the Ash Arrow just barely missed the Vayne. That could be pretty impactful. That Vayne not getting CC'd. One more Ash Arrow comes in. Oh, it was enough. All right. Giant Slayer, RFC, Zoe 3. What am I looking at here from Bobe? This build is wild. TF carry, Caitlyn carry. Like, this is just straight up, I'm going to just use these rerolls to the best of my ability. I'm going to buy every unit nobody else is using. I love this build. This is really interesting and really creative. Great way to use Big Bang, I think.
Oh, definitely. The concern was maybe there wouldn't be enough items for the damage dealers, but at this point, between the carousels and that cane round, these carries are kind of itemized at this point. Caitlyn 3 items, Thieves Gloves on the TF, even a couple items on the Zoe here. They aren't the best for her, but they're still enough.
I mean, what items are even like good on Zoe? Nobody puts items on Zoe.
Yeah,
This is so interesting, though, because... And this is Teemo 3. I told you, Teemo 3 doesn't win games,
Teemo
apparently.
3 is
Double
losing.
61. We're down to possibly our top 3 here if Zlooper gets knocked out. No, he's going to win, and Levdi Trusky down to 1 HP. Our top 4 have been decided. Shoemaker out in 5th. But this board from Bobe, I want to watch this until the end, because this is just so cool to see in TFT, where... And you think back about how he played through this, it's gonna be it's really interesting because he prioritized itemizing his tanks early on to sustain, right? To preserve HP, to give him the chance to roll more. Once he had that stabilized, then he was able to prioritize the carries. And the only way you could really play that way is because we're in this galaxy where you get so many more items than usual. So just I think the best we've seen this galaxy played yet, in my opinion.
Oh,
Big
definitely.
Zephyr, though.
And even Big Zephyr on that Caitlyn. See how this fight goes. The Jana Tornado is huge there, CCing the whole team. It does come out as soon as the Echo ult comes out there as well, though, so not great there for Bobe. I think actually the Cyber composition looks like it's going to take this round.
I think so. TF, oh, the damage in the end just not enough. I think if there's a Janna 2, and he's able to get like one more mana item for Janna, then I think he can win. But he needs that Janna 2, in my opinion.
There is potential Janna 2 right now. There's Janna with a glove. It would just make a Hand of Justice, which wouldn't be the best. But does decide to go that, it could be just exactly what you're talking about there, a Janna 2 diff. This is actually also super... Yeah,
because that's a Janna 2 for him now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead.
Looking at these last couple of rounds, if Lev D manages to scrape at least a second here, he could actually take this within 3 games. Or Lev D, the one person who could afford to get a first or a second to have a chance to close it out next one.
Right.
It's real close, though. He's holding on at 1 HP.
Well, the Janna 3 dream is real. Double Janna, okay. He's got some items to use.
Yeah.
All right.
The Zephyr on the bench.
Yeah, I was going to say, Zephyr needs to go in now. Who's he got it on? Oh, it's so tough. Yeah. I mean, what else can you do? Everyone else had a bunch of items. Zoe would have maybe hit the Jin, I think.
Yeah, it would have. It would have.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of indecision there by Bobe.
Yeah, little mistake there. And man, the Jin is wiping things out. All right, well.
Yeah, that might have actually made the difference there.
Yeah, I think so. I think if that Jin would have been Zephyred, maybe things would have gone a little bit differently. Bobe still has 12 HP left. Lev D out in 3rd, and that is huge because that means that Lev D is 1 point short of being able to win it in game number 3. So that means that nobody's got a chance to win it in game number 3 now. So at least see 4 games here, but for Lev D, man, what a stressful ending to that one, knowing you were so close to unlocking that 18-point threshold and having a chance to win it with a first from then on. That's big. That's really big, actually.
It is. We could see our final fight. Actually, we'll see our final fight of the game here. KC double against Bobe. Teemo 3 versus this one cost tier 3 composition.
That's right. Do it for Volterix. Get the Teemo 3 win.
It looks like he will, and pretty decisively actually, as KC double, the 16-year-old French player taking game number 2. Super impressive performance there.